And we became friends after a while, and they could see that I was really, really interested in what had happened to them, because I could tell it had had a deep impact on them. They hadn't talked about to anybody, because it had, again, affected their life, their beliefs, a number of things. And I asked them to take me to that place among the forest where the thing had landed, one time. And I said, looking around, if it took off in that direction, it would have hit the trees. And they said, well, it kind of hit the trees. And it went through the trees.
It went through the trees.
Well, okay, so now this isn't some sort of rocket or some sort of helicopter. A helicopter will crash if it hits a tree. I said, why didn't you tell that to the investigator who came here? They said, well, we could tell he would never believe it because he was looking for hardware. He was looking for some sort of super rocket. He was essentially had an engineering mind. We couldn't tell him that it went through the trees. But you asked a question, so we told you. So I think that's what we need to learn, and that is what bothers me with what's happening now in the US is that we're primarily going to look at the military cases. That's what Congress has mandated. The pilots are going to come up, and now, fortunately, they are giving them permission to speak about what they've seen, okay? Without stigma, without being degraded, without losing their position as pilots, If you're a pilot, you don't want to be assigned to an office somewhere. You want to keep flying, right? So you're not going to talk about UFOs, ever, okay? So when that stigma is removed, now you have another situation. But now we have to think about, and again, the Army and the Air Force is great because they have all these instruments that can measure things. They have radar, they have all of that. A farmer in his field doesn't have that. But the farmer knows his field, and he knows nature. He knows the clouds. He knows if it's going to rain tomorrow. He knows how the cows are behaving. That tells him something about what's going on. It tells you about threats. It tells you about all kinds of other things that a pilot would never know about, because a pilot is looking at a few instruments and the sky in front of him, and that's it. Okay, so we should not narrow what I'm afraid of is that everything will be military observations, because they are so neat, observations from the last 5 years, because we have all this wonderful technology. The farmer doesn't have that technology. So it's going to be discounted, and it should not be discounted. We should go back to the last 50 years, and it's in the database. Now, most of those people have died. I have the privilege of having survived long enough to know all these people, and I can see people making hypotheses about the database that I can tell you are false. I can tell you it did not happen that way because I went there. And I spoke to the people who are operating that radar, or the people who are flying that airplane back in Brazil in 1987, when there were ships, flying ships coming out of the Amazon at night, flying out of the water of the Amazon. Okay, they saw that. They have pictures of that. Okay? You're not going to get that just by doing some superficial research, as good as the research is at Harvard or Princeton or Stanford. We have to go beyond that.